Laws that came into effect last year have placed the same restrictions on e-cigarettes or vaping as there is on smoking. And I think some governments thought that might be the end of the matter, but the issue isn't going away. Legalise Vaping Australia is a group that are trying to change the minds of politicians, and they've been visiting our part of the world. They were in Ballarat and Daylesford over the course of the weekend. The campaign manager with Legalise Vaping Australia is Brian Marlow. You may have heard some of his comments in the news earlier, but for a bit more of a detailed discussion, he's with us now. Brian Marlow, good morning.
Good morning.
Just explain Legalise Vaping Australia. Who is the group? Where do you come from?
So we're a grassroots campaign that started early last year, basically painting the street and signing people up to our campaign to try and get vaping legalised. And we're supported by a whole range of concerned Australians who basically crowdfunded to get our bus up and off the road and send our campaign bus all around the east coast of Australia to visit towns, educate people about the need to legalise nicotine vaping and call on federal and state MPs in these towns to do the right thing, accept the evidence that's overseas that shows that it's safer, and legalise it so that people can quit tobacco.
Okay. Are you backed by tobacco companies?
No, not at all.
Right, so it's crowdfunding, so it's just anyone and everyone could contribute to this. No sort of smoking-related organisations as such?
No, absolutely not. We don't want any of their help at all or any of their money.
Okay, because they are involved in the electronic cigarette industry, are they not?
Well, I mean, some of them purport that they want to, I think the marketing term that they use was they want to go smokeless or whatever that is supposed to mean. If they want to get into vaping and switch people away from their current product that kills them, that's up to them, but it's not something that we're concerned about. We want to get vaping legalised so that people can get off tobacco.
Okay. You said you want to get nicotine vaping legalised. What's the difference between vaping and nicotine vaping?
So currently in Australia, it is legal to vape so long as there's not a nicotine liquid in that vaping solution. But a lot of people who smoke, who've tried all the other methods to get off tobacco, they find that they still need that nicotine in order to not have cravings for cigarettes. So the nicotine solution that people put into vape, that's illegal to possess in every state and territory. And we're trying to get that legalised so people can go to their local vape store or local store and get that nicotine liquid that they can then use in their vape, which is a much less harmful tool, and basically get off tobacco, which we know will kill about 1 in 3 people.
Okay. If that is allowed, are you happy to have the vaporisers treated as tobacco products in terms of things like non-smoking areas and those sort of restrictions that have come in?
Look, I mean, that comes down, I guess, to individual state laws and what individual businesses want to do within their own confines and how that works with state laws. I mean, we haven't looked at the very minute details of, in what scenario should a vape be used and not used inside a business. We're just looking at this from a harm reduction perspective. We know that this will help people get off smoking and essentially lead a healthier lifestyle. And for those people who are smoking that are addicted, we believe this should be legalised to get them off it.
It's a pretty mixed bag of where e-cigarettes are allowed and where they're not allowed. Apparently, I believe the World Health Organization doesn't recommend them, but other countries have gone down the route of allowing vaping. So what is the situation globally from your point of view?
Well, currently, so nicotine vaping is legal in the US, in Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and throughout the EU, to the point that in the UK specifically, the health department over there says to people who are addicted to smoking, if you can't get off cigarettes and you're trying to find a safe alternative, this is the alternative for you. The Royal College of Physicians, which has been around for just on 500 years, and has done all kinds of research dedicated to improving the practice of medicine, they've turned around and said, look, it's 95% safer than smoking. So no one would recommend this to someone who doesn't smoke, but if you smoke and you're inhaling something that's going to destroy your lungs and kill 1 in 3 at a minimum, this is a much safer alternative. It's a harm reduction strategy.
It is restricted in other countries as well. The list I was able to find briefly says Australia, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Japan, Hong Kong, Hungary, Iran, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, Sweden and Switzerland. It's allowed with restrictions.
Yeah.
And the restrictions here that we've been talking about is you can vape but not with nicotine in the liquid. So there's varying levels of restrictions. But it is also banned in some countries.
Yeah, look, it's been banned in Singapore. which is unfortunate. There are a lot of people over there in Singapore who smoke who want to try and find another alternative, and same thing again, patches and gum hasn't worked for them. So that's unfortunate to see. But yeah, what we're looking for over here is for the nicotine vaping to be legalised so adult smokers can make that switch.
What response are you getting from politicians?
Some of it's a standard copy-paste response that says, we stand behind what the current restrictions are. Tim Wilson, who's a prominent Liberal Party member, actually tweeted at us to let us know that he had, quote-unquote, a strong view on vaping restrictions, and he doesn't believe people like him, i.e. politicians, have the right to tell people like us how to live our lives. So I think that's about as close to an endorsement that you could probably get from someone within the Liberal Party at this stage. And we're hoping that more people within his party come out and accept the evidence that shows that it is a harm reduction tool.
All right. You're up against formidable opposition with groups such as the Cancer Council, though.
Yeah, look, we are. We believe that it is the right thing to do, and the Cancer Council, for whatever reason, is against it. We would like to think that the Cancer Council would prefer to have an option on the table that gets people off something that we know will cause cancer for 1 in 3 smokers, will cause a debilitating illness that kills them for 1 in 3 smokers and has high cancer rates. So it is disappointing to see, but we wouldn't be on the road if we didn't think that we had a chance at getting the law right over here.
All right. Just finally, Brian, while you were travelling around, you're in Ballarat and Daylesford over the course of the weekend. What did you find with the general knowledge in the community about vaping? I know people who are vaping or who are smoking and looked into it will know about it, but in terms of general, broader community knowledge, do a lot of people know about it these days?
I would say, based on the trip, we've met thousands of people on this trip so far. A lot of people, if they don't already know about vaping, once we explain what it is, the vast majority of them accept that it should be legalised. So in terms of the awareness, some people are still unaware as to what vaping is, but once they actually dig into it and they find out, look, this is something that's safer than smoking, a lot of them have friends or family members that smoke and they wish that they would get off, and they think, well, if this is an alternative that is safer, then perhaps they should go down that route.
Brian, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Brian Marlow, Campaign Manager for Legalise Vaping Australia. And as I said at the start, they've been travelling through the region. They have a bus that they've crowdfunded and looking to change laws and getting a bit of interest. It was in our news this morning, and they've been getting some other coverage as well. Not necessarily getting the traction with the politicians that they would like.